You open your eyes for the first time in the 41st millennium. And congratulations, you're a human boy born in the darkest age of humanity. You're born on one of the countless worlds with hive cities scattered across the Imperium. You live in a hab stack, a metal box stacked thousands of meters above the ground. You grow up without a father, because he's probably already dead in some previous war or taken somewhere in the galaxy and never returned. You do have a mother, but it's basically like she doesn't live there. She works long shifts in a factory on the levels above, doing whatever brutal industrial labor the Imperium assigns just to keep you fed with a roof over your head. As soon as you can understand basic words, you're told the Emperor of Mankind is a god, not just a leader or a historical figure, an actual deity who watches over humanity and demands absolute obedience. The ecclesiarchy is the state religion and runs what little education exists in the city. They teach you to read just so you can understand Imperial propaganda. You learn basic mathematics so you can count rations, but mostly, you learn the Imperial Creed. Each morning before breakfast, they make you recite phrases like, "Blessed is the mind, too small for doubt." An open mind is like a fortress with its gates unbarred and unguarded. The Emperor protects. You recite them before sleep too, because you were taught that the Emperor is always watching and judging. Questioning anything is heresy, and heresy means death. Not just for you, but potentially your entire family and neighborhood. Attendance at prayer sessions is monitored by the ecclesiarchy, and families whose children don't attend find their rations cut. You learn to say the words, even if you don't believe them, because not believing doesn't matter, as long as you obey. In military worlds, the indoctrination is even more extreme, and unfortunately for you, you live on one of them. You're handed lasguns at age 5 and taught to strip them before you learn to read. Everything else is weapons training, combat practice, and military doctrine. Your childhood is basically a boot camp that lasts from the moment you can walk until the moment you're officially conscripted. Your entire planet exists as perpetual military training grounds where war isn't something that might happen. It's inevitable. You grow up knowing that your purpose is to fight and die for the Imperium. There's no question of if you'll go to war, only when and where. Your friends are training alongside you for the same fate. It's the kind of planet that the Imperium values most. A planet whose only purpose is to produce soldiers who don't question, don't hesitate, and don't expect to survive. But while you grow up in this military camp, you need to survive first. Survival is everything. Once you're around 6 years old, you need to find a way to contribute. So you begin to scavenge, steal, and do whatever brings in enough to supplement the rations. Everyone fends for themselves because there's no alternative. You need to constantly find ways to get something to eat, and what you eat is not like any other food. You eat corpse starch, a grey paste synthesized from recycled human remains. Yeah, you heard that right. There's a group of people in the city called the Corpse Guild that collects thousands of bodies daily and processes them into this substance that gets distributed as rations. It tastes like nothing and has the texture of wet cement, but it's just enough to keep you alive. That's your entire diet. That's what you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day. Sometimes you can trade for something else, like processed algae cakes, protein bars made from insects, or stolen goods from upper levels. But mostly it's just corpse starch. And don't think about complaining. In some hives, if you express any kind of disgust at the taste, you could be considered a rebel. You're supposed to be grateful you're being fed at all. The Imperium is efficient with its resources. Even in death, citizens serve. But food is just one of the many constant struggles in your world. You never breathe clean air, and you never will. Industrial waste from the factories above filter down, mixing with smoke from burning refuse and the accumulated breathing of millions of people crammed into spaces never meant to hold them. Respirators exist, but they're expensive. So most people just breathe the toxic air and deal with it. You develop a constant cough by the time you're 7. Your lungs burn with every breath. You're always a little short of air, always feeling like you can't fill your chest completely. By age 10, you probably have some kind of respiratory condition that will never be treated because of medical care costs, and you're just not valuable enough to warrant that expense. The Hive City extends thousands of meters above you in every direction. Levels upon levels of housing blocks, factories, processing plants, and the homes of people wealthy enough to live where the air doesn't kill you as quickly. Somewhere far above, natural light might reach the upper levels, but you'll never see it. The only light you see is artificial. Darkness is constant in the Underhive. You learn to navigate by sound and memory because the lights fail more often than they work. Power is reserved for productive zones. Down here, in the pressure valve where the Imperium deliberately funnels violence and poverty, constant lighting is a luxury you don't deserve. On top of not having normal food or light, you need to be alert for constant violence. Gangs control territory. Disputes are settled with knives and improvised firearms. Bodies appear in corridors regularly, left where they fell because nobody has the time to deal with the dead except the corpse guild collectors. You learn early which areas to avoid, which territories each gang controls, and how to make yourself small and unnoticeable when violence erupts around you. If you're not in a gang by your teenage years, you're just prey. Most join a gang for protection, not ideology. The gangs provide the only social structure that exists in the Underhive, in a place where the Imperium has abandoned any presence of law or order. In fact, the Imperium wants it that way. For them, it's better that murder and crime happen down in the city than in the productive zones where useful work gets done. It's a place where constant misery can flow freely. Well, that's not your only option in life. When you're around 17, everything changes. The Imperial Tithe arrives at your planet to recruit for Astra Militarum, also known as the Imperial Guard. Tithe officers show up with transport ships and begin identifying eligible candidates. They prefer the strong and healthy, but they'll take whoever meets minimum standards. They choose you, and you really only have one option. If you refuse, you'll be executed on the spot. There's no appeal, no exemption, no alternative service. You're pulled from whatever life you had, separated from your family, and loaded onto crowded ships with hundreds or thousands of others. And this is the last time you'll see your homeworld. Training is short but brutal, if you even get it. The Imperium doesn't have time to turn you into a skilled soldier. It just needs you to follow orders and know which end of the gun to point at the enemy. Training camps are overcrowded, and you're put into facilities designed for half that number. Most of the time, these aren't even camps. They'll train you on an Imperial ship while you travel to the battlefield. Your instructors run you through exercises designed to break your will and teach you absolute obedience. They don't focus on developing combat skills or tactical thinking. Instead, they focus on teaching you to fire on command and to charge when ordered, even if charging means certain death. And if you show fear or hesitation during training, you might get shot as an example to the others.